morning, everyone, colleagues, friends. We're delighted to welcome all of you here at Tel Aviv University for what promises to be an extremely thought-provoking conference, which crosses disciplinary, geographical, methodological, and temporal boundaries. We really appreciate all of you for coming here from the US, from Europe, rolling in the traffic, Israeli traffic, after a sleepless night of the elections, to make this event possible. So thank you.
It's on.
The idea of human rights, born in natural rights theory, the idea of universal human rights was originally conceived to help fight for the rights of majorities. However, within 100 years, human rights spread from the French and American revolutions to serve minorities in their fight against ruling majorities. And Central and Eastern Europe played a crucial role in this process. As the region which was most significantly affected by the minorities' rights debate in a space of disintegrating empires after World War I, and then later in the center of human rights discussions in the context of the Nazi and Stalinist regimes, was then again in the midst of discussions the horrific events of World War II and as part of the communist bloc. And just like Eastern Europe, the story of Jewish rights is not just a particular case of minority rights, but in a way one of the centers and the trigger of the development of the idea of human rights. And it interweaves with the story of the conceptualization of human rights in a very unique way. So we thought that an examination of various issues of human and minority rights in contemporary Israel will bring in new perspectives on the relationship between human rights, Jewish rights in history, and minority rights in general, and in Israeli society in particular, which, as we all learned again through yesterday's elections, combines in a variety of religions and traditions communities. And as the variety of lectures suggests, this conference is a collaborative project of several bodies. The Minerva Center for Human Rights, headed by Professor Yoav, with the Minerva Annual Lecture becoming part of this conference, and this year hosting Professor Samuel Moyal of Harvard University. And then is the cooperation with the Stephen Roth Institute for the Study of Contemporary Anti-Semitism and Racism, headed by Dr. Scott Uri, and the Inter-University Academic Partnership in Russian and East European Studies, a cooperation between 5 universities in Israel and supported by the Committee for Higher Education, and chaired today by Dr. Marcus Zilber of Haifa University. In addition to those bodies, support for the event was also provided by the Lester and Sally Antin Faculty of Humanities, the Bookman Faculty of Law, and Paula Goldberg Fund for International Law. But this event would not be entirely possible without the hard work of our administrative assistants, Ms. Dina again of the Minerva Center, and Mr. Eitan Rom of the Roth Institute, who worked very, very hard these past weeks to make all this happen. So thank you very much. So without further ado, I wish to pass the microphone to the members of our first panel and our chair, Yoav Peled of Tel Aviv University. And I wish all of you an enjoyable conference.
Good morning. I'm very happy to chair the first panel of what promises to be a very interesting, fascinating conference. We have on the first panel, we have 3 distinguished speakers, and to save time, I will introduce all 3 of them now, and then we'll go just flow from one to the next. Each speaker will have 25 minutes, and then we will have something like half an hour for discussion. Okay, our first speaker is Professor Carolyn Fink. Professor Fink is a Humanities Distinguished Professor of History Emerita at the Ohio State University and a former Fulbright scholar at Haifa University. She recently published a book called War and International History. She's the author, in addition to that, of two prize-winning books, Defending the Rights of Others, The Great Powers, the Jews and International Minority Protection, 1878 and 1938, and the Genoa Conference, European Diplomacy, 1921-1922, and another book called Mar Bloch, A Life in History, which has been translated into 6 languages. She's also edited 7 books and published some 60 articles and chapters in European international history. The second speaker will be Marcus Zilber of Haifa University. He recently published a book called Different Nationality, Equal Citizenship, The Efforts to Achieve Autonomy for the Polish Jewry during World War I. It was published by Tel Aviv University in 2014. He also co-edited with Shimon Lotnitsky Documents on Polish-Israeli Relations, was published in Polish in 2009 and in Hebrew also in 2009. He also wrote many articles on Jewish nationalism in fin de siècle East Central Europe, on Jewish politics in Poland during World War I and in its aftermath, also on Yiddish-Polish cinema and interwar Poland, and on Polish-Israeli relations and migrations. Migrations both directions or only one direction? Okay. Well, our final speaker will be Professor William Forbath, who is the Lloyd M. Benston Chair in Law and the Associate Dean of Research at the Law School at the University of Texas at Austin. He's also a professor of history. Forbath teaches U.S. and comparative constitutional law along with constitutional history and theory. His books include Law and the Shaping of the American Labor Movement and the forthcoming The Constitution of Opportunity and the Anti-Oligarchic Constitution. He has written dozens of articles, book chapters, and essays on subjects like political and economic inequality in constitutional thought, I think very pertinent to this country, social and economic rights in the courts, state institutions, and social movements of the Southern Hemisphere, most recently Jews, law, and identity politics in the early 20th century. Professor Forbath is on the board of several scholarly journals and local and international public interest organizations. So, like I said, each speaker will have 25 minutes, and then we'll have about half an hour for discussion. Professor Fink's topic is the Jews and International Minority Protection, 1919-1939.